So here's a modern twist on exactly what went down inside of the Garden of Eden according to a Gnostic view but brought into a more modern interpretation. Think of Adam like the jockey dude in like early grade school that basically just kind of, walks around and is too cool for school but is just very popular and, does his thing. And then there's this nerdy girl who hasn't quite blossomed yet. She kind of gets picked on, but she is just really focused on her knowledge. And she dresses a little emo and stuff like that, so everyone thinks that she's like a little weird, and Adam's just kind of like ashamed to even like speak to her, even though he low-key has a crush on her. But then this new guy comes in, he's the shining one, and he's basically reminding her that she's gonna grow up and blossom one day, and everyone's gonna be jealous of her. So she shows up to school, and she has this whole new personality about her, where she also shines brightly, and then everyone just calls her conceited or whatever. Well, Adam starts to give her a little bit of attention, but in secret, and then they get caught, and so he decides to throw her under the bus. Because Adam didn't want to get picked on because everyone was judging her, saying she's weird, she's emo, she's gonna grow up and be nothing, and blah blah blah. Well, Eve realizes who she is, she grows up, she blossoms, and she becomes this super hot, emo, gothic chick, and Adam is in deep regret at this point that he actually turned her away and threw her under the bus. But she's also still a nerd and totally wise and full of wisdom because she actually fulfilled everything that she was destined to be. She's found her path, she's this gothic emo queen, and everyone praises her while Adam is in deep regret, probably balding and realizing that, like, wow, I probably should have given her the proper attention she deserved when we were still in school. However, at that point, it's way too late. That is essentially the come-up or the resurrection of wisdom in the biblical narrative. Just because wisdom is kind of dark and kind of mysterious but also extremely wise, everyone rejects her and thinks that she has nothing to do with God. There's no way that God would choose her over literally everything else in existence. Well, joke's on them because Jesus favored that type of people when he was giving the same wisdom gospel all throughout the New Testament. Jesus was hanging out with the rejects, but more importantly, he was standing up for women in a time period where they were completely oppressed in some of the worst ways imaginable. So essentially, Eve starts off as the woman, the archetype of the woman, and then she becomes Eve. That is her destiny. She is the life and essence of all of mankind. And then she blossoms into Sophia, or wisdom. There's a reason why Jesus hung out with the outcast of society, aka the set-apart spirits. And just like Jesus said himself in Luke 7:35,